everyone, and welcome to Four Guys, a Girl, and a Show. With us as always is the original geeky vixen, Miss Stacy Rader.
Good evening.
Jack of all trades, Dave Harriman.
Good evening, everyone.
Our own Bat Maniac, JQ.
Hey, what's up, guys?
G.I. Joe Quartermaster, Mike Hopkins.
Yo.
And myself, the self-proclaimed Professor of Comicology, Brian Isaacs. Today's show is all about Toy Fair. This week, Toy Fair Industry Association presented the 2013 American International Toy Fair over at the Javits Center in New York City. Companies from all over met to show off what new toy offerings they have coming out, everything from dolls, action figures, to baby products, and the various odd collectibles. I mean, this is one of the biggest shows. So unless you've been living in a hole these past couple of days, news sites have pretty much flooded the internet with pictures and news. So we're going to talk about all the stuff we pretty much saw, what piqued our interest. And, I mean, for me, this was my sixth show at Toy Fair, and it just keeps getting bigger, and some aspects just gets a little weirder, but you know, I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, not being there myself, the pictures that I saw and from what the reports you all brought, I mean, looks like 2014 or the rest of this year is going to be kind of good.
You know, let me start out by saying for myself and Dave, we were the new kids on the block, so to speak. I know Brian's been around for 6 years and all. But the respect level from other sites and places and you know, whatever, you know, websites, you name it, it just didn't seem to be friendly to other websites. I guess you could consider it a competition. And in reality, it is, you know, it's a matter of who can get their pictures up the fastest, who can, you know, put out the news there before everybody else. I walked in as a fan, and because this has been on my bucket list for many years, and I've always watched Toy Fair every year, and always wanted to be a part of it. So walking in with my expectations, I was kind of disappointed. When Brian said we were going to Hasbro, I was excited because, you know, of course, G.I. Joe's Hasbro. I was thinking, you know, it's going to be this big old presentation, this huge place, you know, because they can't even have it at the actual Toy Fair. It's something completely separate. There's going to be a room for G.I. Joe's, a room for Star Wars, Transformers, you know, you name it. They were going to have their own room, and boy, we were going to just get all kinds of great pictures. The presentation started out, and the room was half full. And granted, it was because of the weather. You know, as everybody knows, there was a huge snowstorm, blizzard that went through there the night before. So Dave and I trucked our way down from, you know, the hotel we were staying at through, you know, slush and slop and everything else. And we get there, and, you know, we're standing outside freezing our butts off for a little while. They finally trick us all in, and, you know, I wasn't impressed. I mean, to be honest with everybody, the presentation, you know, they were pushing, you know, My Little Pony was the first thing they pushed on us, and it's like, hey, yeah, okay, it's, you know, it's My Little Pony, who, you know, not that there's anything wrong with it, but most of us are like, whatever, we don't care. But, and then, you know, they went into the next spiel, which was the Creo figures, and for G.I., you know, G.I. Joe's making their presence known within the Creo environment, and you're going to see new vehicles and stuff like that. And then, you know, it just went from there, and I just wasn't as impressed with the presentation, one, because there was no Q&A session. You know, you couldn't ask questions, you couldn't take pictures while you were in there during the whole presentation. It's like, you know, where is, for being one of the biggest toy companies out there, why as a press can we not ask questions about, certain products. And I understand they're trying to get us through so they can see pictures and everything else and go take pictures of everything. But there should still be a Q&A session with everybody. What did you think, Dave?
I have to agree. The lack of respect that we got from a lot of people was very saddening. Even some of the vendors. I mean, you had some vendors. The vendors were kind of split. We had some vendors that were, oh, you guys are press, whatever. Some that actually were very willing to talk to us. As far as the Hasbro event's concerned, it was obvious what products they were pushing very hard and what products were just kind of falling to the wayside. Transformers was probably the most prevalent presence there at Hasbro. They were making a ginormous push for Transformers this year with a lot of product. And like Mike said, there wasn't a Q&A session. The couple times I tried to talk to some of the reps, they seemed very clueless. They really didn't know. The one rep I spoke with, he told me that the lead designer for Marvel couldn't make it. So he pretty much couldn't answer any of my questions. And Marvel tends to be one of the things that the collectors seem to be really lost on because the distribution's really horrible. The figures are spotty when they're coming out. We've had announced figures that have never appeared. And we got the generic answers of, well, production runs, they got to do with production cost. And if they don't see enough interest, they're not going to make the figure, even if it's been announced. I even asked as far as the Marvel Digital line, with Hasbro working with Marvel Digital Unlimited, one line for the subscription service, and the Old Man Logan figure. And they knew about the Old Man Logan figure. They couldn't really tell me anything, whether it's coming out, if anything else is planned. The only straight answer I did get out of them was there was a Fing Fang Foom red version that was premiered, I believe, at 2010 San Diego Comic-Con that was announced. And the rep I spoke with, who says he's been involved with Marvel for the last year now, said that he never saw the figure, he knows nothing about it, and he has no plans of it ever being produced. So that was at least one thing that we know we wouldn't see. But other than that, we did see a lot of good toys while we were out there. We got a lot of pictures from our body and a lot of information. So without further ado, let's get to that. Brian, you want to take it away?
Well, I mean, if I could just chime in on the Hasbro thing. I mean, it's, first off, why do you think I sent you guys here? No, seriously, the Hasbro event is in itself only 6 years old. I've seen it grown, and it's gone from, I remember the first year I was there was probably about like 30 of us, and it's grown a lot larger to, well, you guys didn't really see it, but it's packed. I mean, if you guys didn't make the, you guys had, I think you guys had other things scheduled during the Mattel event. When I went there, it was flooded with people that were never there, and it's just like pretty much anybody with a website can get in these days, which is extremely frustrating. But when it comes back to Mattel, I mean, Hasbro, it's, especially with Marvel, they used to have a couple key guys there. Dave Bonner being the lead designer, who's no longer with the company, who for some reason they let go, which I still can't understand. And there was a brand manager, Scott George, really great guy. For about 5 years straight, I was dealing with those two guys. So, I mean, you just don't have the same people working there. I'm really surprised by the attitude that they did give you. That's kind of shocking to hear, to be honest with you. It doesn't exactly make me happy.
Well, part of it could have been because, of the canceled flights and stuff, that there weren't certain people there. But, like, I wanted to ask some questions. Being a G.I. Joe fan, I noted they took their 2012 plan and moved it to 2013. So everything that was supposed to be produced 2012 is now coming out this year. There is no plan for 2013 as far as new products beyond, the movie and stuff. They did announce 7 new figures that previously were announced before and never got released, and they became part of the vault, but now they decided to release those figures, which I think it was Quinn, Data Viper, and Budo was another one that they mentioned that they were producing this year, which isn't part of the movie line, but it is included in the movie line. But there was nobody to ask anything to. Like, I want to know, if you looked at the different places, first of all, everything was in one giant room, and basically you walked in a circle, took pictures of everything, and then like when Brian said we were going to start out in Marvel, my impression was that Marvel had their own room with the reps standing in there, and you were going to be able to ask questions and take pictures, and then you would move to the next room. Well, this was all one big giant room with a whole bunch of people, and then of course you had big guys, not bigger than me, but big guys there, like acting like they're guarding everything.
Well, they were guarding.
Right. Well, they were looters, whatever. You know, I understand that, you know, they're protecting their product, and that's cool. But, you know, where was the G.I. Joe rep? You know, if my name wasn't His Tank or one of the other websites, I don't think anybody would have paid me any mind whatsoever. So I didn't know who to talk to, because, you know, nobody, I mean, was really wearing a Hasbro name tag that said, you know, hi, I'm the G.I. Joe rep, or, you know, you didn't know who to go to. And if you're not...
See, I find that very surprising. It's, you know, and very shocking to hear, because in the past there's always been at least, you know, one or two guys there, if not one of the designers, somebody at least, yeah, if there's electronic product showing it off. Yeah, that's kind of surprising to me to hear this news.
Yeah. Now, could it have been because of the weather, or just maybe they dropped the ball, or what? I mean, from someone who's not been to one, I mean, what do you think that was, Brian? Could it have been the weather, or just crap happens?
Could just be crap happens, to be honest with you. I really don't have an answer. It's just, well, they're based out of Rhode Island, which is about 3 to 4 hour drive at least.
Yeah, and Rhode Island was one of the towns that got hit hard, or one of the states that got hit hard with the weather.
But most of them had to be there. They were there before the snow hit.
That's true.
To set up. So this is kind of disheartening to really hear this. It doesn't please me so much.
Well, I was, you know, again, being my first time, I enjoyed it. Now, don't take away from the fact that I had a good time, that I got to see stuff that you know, firsthand, whereas, you know, I'm not waiting on a website to look at it. So that part of the aspect was enjoyable. The downside of it is you got so many websites now trying to compete with you. You know, we had this guy, I can tell you, when I was trying to get pictures of the Joes, I had this guy standing in front of me with this 3-foot-high camera with a big old black screen behind the flash, blocking every view that I could possibly try to get so I could get a couple pictures. And I mean, he's like right up on it trying to get that one figure look, and it's like, dude, seriously? You know, and it wasn't that he would go down, and as soon as you started taking pictures, he'd jump back up to where you were before. And I mean, there was just no respect there from anybody. And you know what? Whether we're competing or not competing is not the thing. It's called professional courtesy. And there was a lot of lack of that in the Hasbro show.
See, it doesn't shock me hearing that from other sites. But I think just because I've been doing it so many times, it's just, I might be, you know, kind of numb to it and just not notice it. I think that just might be my case, because I'm, you know, just because I've been doing it for a while, but it just doesn't bother me that much. Or no, I'm just kind of used to it. But no, I understand what you're saying, because, you know, there are those people there. It's just, I mean, I went to the Lego exhibit, and there was, you know, somebody there with a camera going over, you know, he put his iPhone on video camera, and he's going over every freaking nook and cranny on this Lego thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to take one picture. Can you hurry this up, please?
We've seen those guys too.
It was just like, oh my God, you guys got to get this from every freaking angle. I couldn't believe it. It's just like, oh my God, there's still those people that shock me. But you also got to remember, you guys are newbies to this. For me, it's just like I already know a lot of these people, so yes, I'm in competition. You're in competition with them, but it becomes a friendly competition. Like, I know Jason, you posted on Facebook, AFI posting early and stuff. I'm buddy with AFI. Daniel Pickett is a good friend of mine now, just because of all this. So, we were, just joking around, before. So, it's kind of the nature of the beast. But yeah, it's just, there are root sites, there are non-root sites, but the size is just like they're pretty much letting anybody in without even looking at their hits. And it's just growing, or, how long they've been around, and it's just the amount of people that are now there in our little area is just, it's getting more and more frustrating. It really is.
Well, as Dave said, they were pushing Transformers because I think we're coming up on the 30th anniversary. So, that was a big thing. And, Dave, if you want to get into some of those products that they were pushing, you're more than welcome to step in and talk about it.
Well, for Transformers, without getting too in-depth, because they had so much Transformer stuff. I mean, you're talking about definitely the biggest product Hasbro's pushing this year. And with that, they also made mention that this year coming up, 2014, is the 30th anniversary of Transformers. And they're starting things early. With that, one of the biggest things, they had these things called Combiner bots or Build-A-Bots. And the A is the Autobot symbol. The cool thing about these is you have a frame body, and you build some classic Transformers like Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Megatron, and they're using a lot of G1 head colors and the G1 head forms as well. The cool thing about these is once you build the robots, you can transform them to their other forms without taking pieces back off. And some of them are even triple combiners with that as well, which I thought was an awesome idea. To further that, you can actually take these pieces off and put other pieces from other robots on. Now, with that, one of my questions to them was, well, if you add the other parts, do they still transform? They do, but when you add the other parts, of course, they may inhibit the transformation process. So you have a robot that doesn't necessarily transform all the way. But otherwise, it was a great-looking product, and apparently kids are really hyped about this because they could build their own Transformer while the original one still transforms without having to rip parts back and forth off, like some of the older Creo models that came out a couple years ago. Beyond that, the next biggest thing that was there was they announced the biggest Transformer ever produced. He's over 24 inches tall, based off the character from the Fall of Cybertron game, is Metroplex. This thing is awesome built. He's huge. He transforms. He's actually got 3 modes. He's got the robot mode. He's got the city mode, and like an aircraft carrier mode. And the cool thing about these modes are the city mode and the aircraft carrier mode have little hideaway spots and actually fit the like bot shot size characters in them. They're made to scale to work with them, and it looked really awesome. Plus, they said once they had the model complete, the model we got to see was a hard paint model. It just got painted and delivered, so it's fresh out. The finished model is supposed to have some kind of electronic functions with like light-up eyes and sounds. That was the big push as far as Transformers. They had a couple of things as far as Creo, splitting parts and adding things and some other interesting stuff that I thought was really cool about Transformers.
But don't forget,
it's kind of cool to bring them back, though. I mean, Metroplex, that came out. I remember when that came out years ago in the 80s. I mean, I can't think of the dinosaur one that for Decepticons, but I had both those. And to hear they were bringing that back, when I saw how big it was, I'm like, that's as tall as me. Golly.
2 feet tall. And don't forget about the triple changers that they're bringing back, Dave. That's a big thing this year as well. The thing they were trying to strive for this year is back when they originally produced the triple changers, you could change it from vehicle mode to robot mode, and then the third mode wasn't as impressive as the other two modes. So this year they really worked hard on making new molds and making it so that, like, when you change from a tank to a robot to a ship, that they actually looked like each of those individual things instead of just kind of half like it. So they worked really hard on those triple changers to make them more impressive than they used to be.
Well, Astro Train was pretty cool back in the 80s. That's
Yes.
probably the only cool. That's probably the only cool one that actually worked.
Yes, I agree.
Now, one other figure that people will really want to keep an eye out for is Transformers have had their Masterpiece series running out, the bigger, really heavier figures, larger scale and a much more expensive frame. They are re-releasing a new Soundwave in the Masterpiece series that will come with all 5 classic cassettes.
Yay!
And with that,
That's my favorite.
but you'll like this, Stacy. Rumble and Frenzy will have their side pounders that come with them as well.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, Soundwave is my favorite Transformer, so I'm super excited about that.
And they will be cassettes, not CDs.
Yeah.
Of course, kids will...
What's a cassette?
Yeah, I know. No. Kids are going to be looking at it, they go, Daddy, what is this?
Last thing on Transformers that I think we'll move to something else is Creo has a big presence with a lot of different lines they're expanding into this year. With Transformers, they've got a lot of different interesting things going. But one key thing is for the collectors who really can't afford the huge combiner models you get out there, Creo is having these combiner boxes where it's got the classic characters in the Creo form size that form into those combined robots, like Devastator, Protector, Predaking, bunch of classic characters in that size, and I thought that was a really neat idea, and they really look cool.
Well, that's awesome, Dave. So on the Creo note, they also introduced Star Trek into the Creo world. And you're going to get a bunch of the classic figures as well as some of the new upcoming figures from the new movie coming out, including Klingons and I forget what the other character was. The other neat thing is that some of the ships, the smaller ships, will come with light up bases, which are pretty cool. And then, like Dave said, they're also going to start doing single packs of just the actual Transformer minifigure that would come with like the big packs and stuff. You get like 2 or 3 of them. They're going to do blind packs of those. And then G.I. Joe, I'm telling you, I was so impressed with the Creo line of G.I. Joe because the vehicles that they did and the bases and all that stuff look like the ones that you collected in the 80s, the His Tank, the Water Moccasin, the Cobra Fang, and then they're introducing characters like Alley Viper, Quick Kick, and some of the other classic characters that everybody knows and loves in this line as well. As I said earlier, I wasn't impressed with the G.I. Joe lineup. If you walked to the wall where they displayed everything, it was probably, I don't know, about 6 feet tall and probably about 3 or 4, well, I'd say about 5 or 6 feet wide, and that was all they displayed, and probably about 6 shelves. The thing I was impressed with is they have a new helicopter coming out, which is called, it was called something Hawk. The problem is they couldn't use Tomahawk because of the licensing agreement and the name being taken somewhere else. I don't remember where they said it was. The Eagle Hawk was what the helicopter was called, but it looks like the Tiger Hawk. The difference is they made it a little bit bigger. It'll actually seat up to 6 Joes, and it comes with another figure, and the figure from the picture they were showing us had like a couple headsets, a couple different things that made them really stand out. The feature that they were really shopping towards the collector was the fact that the helicopter blades folded in to themselves so that you could display it and push it up against a shelf or something. So because with the weight, the blade span being, probably I'd say almost 2 feet wide, it would be hard to display somewhere on a shelf. So this makes it easier to do that. And then, as I said, they announced like 3 different figures that were new as far as we've seen them before, but they're coming out now instead of being said as, oh, well, we may produce them or not. The only thing I missed was I don't think they announced a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for G.I. Joe. So I don't know if that's coming later or what the deal is.
It'll be coming out later if they have one.
Okay. So it was Data Viper was one of them. Budo was the Samurai is one of them. They re-released the Ultimate Storm Shadow without sleeves on his uniform. They did an Ultimate Cobra Commander, which comes with 2 heads, the classic hooded Cobra Commander and the silver-faced helmet Cobra Commander, which was pretty neat because it also came with like a little flying mini copter that he puts on his back and helps him fly around. And then they had Ultimate Firefly, which they showed last year, as well as a couple other ones that were around from last year, like Hardmaster and some of those guys. Most of the figures have been already seen, so most of you Joe fans out there already know what figures are coming. But these are waves that are going to be here by May, and then the helicopter is being released in August. So now, Dave, it's up to you for those Marvel fans out there, because they're excited to hear this news.
Very true. Well, a lot of people have already seen a lot of the pics already, the new Marvel stuff coming. We've got a couple lines of Legends coming. The next new wave of Legends we've got coming out with a bunch of figures we've all been waiting for. You've got the Scarlet Spider, the Kane version, Black Panther, Wrecker and Bulldozer, which are finishing out the Wrecking Crew line. You've got Hawkeye, Classic, and Secret Avengers. We've got 3 variations on Jean Grey. Still a little confused on this one. You got Age of Apocalypse, the White Phoenix, and the Jim Lee variant. Together inside of those, we've got the Rocket Raccoon Build-A-Figure. One thing Marvel did say during the presentation is that they are seeing that these smaller figures like Rocket Raccoon and Puck, they can't see packaging them in a box by themselves. They're just too small for that. So in their mind, they feel that putting these smaller figures in the Build-A-Figure packs will allow people to collect these figures, and then to get them out without sticking them in a big pack by themselves and charging money.
Now, Dave, not to interrupt you or anything, but I wonder why they didn't just do the route that DC did with Dexstar, Bidge, and Despotus, and to put them all in one box like that. I mean, it would have seen that people would buy a 3-pack of small figures. I mean, DC, they did it for those. I mean, it almost seems weird to throw them all in there like that.
Well, look at the first couple rounds of Legends from Toy Biz when it was. I mean, Dupe was an added figure.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, Howard the Duck. I mean, why couldn't they do it with it's to do with a miniature figure as a Build-A-Figure seems a little silly to me. Yeah, I just don't get the appeal.
I don't disagree, but Rocket Raccoon, I will say this: Rocket Raccoon was a decently sized minifigure. I mean, he was probably he was about a little bigger than Howard the Duck that you were talking about.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's just these guys don't deserve a figure. I just, as a Build-A-Figure, it just seems like a weird concept. I'd rather they're so small. I could just see it more like as a pack-in.
Their explanation of it was they wanted to keep the Build-A-Figure in scale with the rest of the line, so they felt if they did bigger figures that they wouldn't be in scale with the 6-inch lines.
Translation, it would cost more, prices would go up, and you guys wouldn't buy it.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Very true.
Hey, one thing, I mean, when I was going around the, Toy Fair in general, the line, it's on the floor. I always find it's interesting how everything old is new again. one of the hottest properties out there had to be Batman 66, the old Adam West TV show. I've lost count of the amount of people who had that were carrying that license. Funko is having a bobblehead. I think NECA is having a 12-inch figure?
Yes, 12-inch.
Yeah, Mattel is having a series of they've announced Wave 1, which is going to be 6-inch figures. Batman, Riddler, Penguin, and Joker. And they did say Joker is going to have a painted mustache, which I know a lot of people were like, when they heard about it, we're used to Mattel cutting corners where they can. So a lot of us are happy about the painted mustache. And then there's going to be a 2-pack of Batman and Robin, where you can hang, where the 2-pack also acts as a diorama, so you can do one of those famous them climbing up the wall scene in the TV show.
Yes.
And if you look at the paint apps on Robin, it's two-tone, because Burt Ward used to wear pantyhose. So you could see that like separate flesh tone on the legs opposed to his arms and head. And the best news about it, we're finally getting a Batmobile to fit 6-inch figures. And the amount of detail on it was wow, it was amazing.
When I saw the I'm pretty sure the pictures don't do it justice, but I mean, when I saw the pictures of that Barris Batmobile, I flipped. And I was saying, wow, I mean, finally, I mean, that opens the doors if they wanted to do more comic accurate mobiles. I know I'm putting the cart before the horse, but getting that Barris is a huge step for fans. I mean, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah, well, as always, they're saying if it sells, they may think about doing one for, DC Universe, but this is me holding my breath on that one. We've heard so many promises coming out of the Mattel camp, it's not even funny.
I mean, I heard a lot of the Ghostbuster fans were mad, saying how they got the Barris Batmobile, but they couldn't get an Ecto one. But I tell you, that Barris Batmobile is beautiful.
So they said, well, I saw something where they had Catwoman was one of the things that was announced. Did they say which Catwoman it was going to be? If it was going to be Julie Newmar or Lee Merriweather?
No, they did not. They did, but what they do have out right now is a Ken and Barbie as Batman and the Julie Newmar Catwoman. And that is available right now if you go to BarbieCollector.com. You can order that today.
Yeah, and those are beautiful. Like, I'm not a huge Barbie collector, but I love the retro Barbies, and that one is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm not a Barbie collector, man. It's just like I'm going back and forth on that myself. Oh, and they're also having the surfing Batman, and it comes with a surfboard, and the Bermuda shorts, which
board shorts or yellow and white.
Yeah, I can't even explain it to do it justice. The rest of the stuff coming out of the Mattel camp. The big news obviously was Castle Grayskull. For those who collect Masters of the Universe, they're having a new subscription for the Filmation characters only. For DC,
fire!
It's I don't even know where to start with DC. It's just, I mean, color me unimpressed. They're having more Batman. I understand Batman sells, but I mean, I don't understand why they can't do the same with Superman. It's just like, you got the Dark Knight Dark Knight Returns Batman coming out. They're going to be having a vampire Batman based in Kelly Jones art.
But that's all from the Unlimited line, the Batman Unlimited line, right?
I think so, yeah. They're all mixed together. It was hard to tell.
I mean, the thing is, the DC Unlimited line, they can go with Superman if they wanted to, but they're going the route of that new game. I mean, that new game is getting all the character toys, and I don't get it.
But that was the interesting thing. None of those figures were on display.
However, I mean, I know we were talking DC and all. They did show us their Superman Man of Steel line, which I was pretty impressed with. And it even included Zod, which unfortunately we were unable to take pictures. We weren't allowed to. But
yeah, but they released
the press
official
pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that I'm not too sure if you guys noticed, but there was no everyday product for the Man of Steel.
No, there wasn't.
And I saw some other sites, but I don't know where they were keeping it. It wasn't in their showroom, which was up top they had their own floor on the Javits Center. So I have no clue where they were keeping their everyday stuff, but it wasn't on their main showroom, which was kind of weird.
No, and the only impressive figures that they had coming for their DC subscription line was I Like the Red Hood. And
why?
I thought it was a good looking figure.
I got a chance to talk to Carn Boy because most people want the motorcycle Red Hood that was in the animated movie.
Yes, that one I would rather see too.
Yeah. From what Corn Boy of the Four Horsemen told me, the designs came from above higher than Mattel, which means Warner once again stuck their nose into things and saying, hey, we need to support Morrison, so you guys got to do this one, even though the fans don't want this one. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for nothing.
And of course, Le Fleas is coming, so that's first in a while.
Yep.
Well, that's coming not next month. No, 2 months from now.
2 months, yeah, because
Elongated Man's next.
The Elongated Man's next, so people like myself, we finished the satellite era. Yay!
I mean, I'm actually excited when I saw the picture. When I saw Fire, I flipped out because people have been wanting Fire and Ice for so long. And if you go to Mattel.com and look up, what they showed, it says in coming, whatever day it was coming, in 20, whatever it was, it said you'd find half of the team Fire and Ice, which means Ice is coming. Just don't know when.
Yeah, no, Ice is coming. They're supposed to have a production sample, but they forgot it. So
is she going to be in the sub then?
Yes.
All right, so then there's one figure missing from the sub then.
Yeah, she'll be in the sub, but, she'll bring her, they'll, offer them up to everybody else. But they also, part of the store line, the DC, what do they call it now? I don't even know what
DC Collectibles.
Yeah, no, not collectibles.
DC Unlimited.
DC Unlimited. Yeah, they had the new 52 Darkseid. And before I went to Mattel, I just came from DC Collectibles, and they still had on display their, super large.
2 Aquaman tall.
Yeah, 2 Aquaman tall Darkseid, and then I look at this little runt of a figure Mattel's giving us, and I'm like, really? It's small, guys.
It was pathetic.
It really was. I mean, they couldn't even use the base for the Build-A-Figure they did. It is so... people are, like, going nuts. The scale Nazis are going insane about that one.
That saved me some money right there. When I saw that, I was like, nope, pass.
And I know a lot of people are excited about Damien being made into an action figure.
Yes, I am.
Details were pretty good on that one.
Yeah, that was a good looking figure.
It looked good. That and the Joker and the Death of the Family story arc looked good too. I mean, I have to say it looked really good.
That's DC Collectibles.
Oh, so Damien's going to be Mattel, not DC Collectibles?
Yes,
DC Collectibles already came out with the Damien a while back when they did the...
Well, I thought it was in with this new 52 thing.
No, both companies are doing the new 52.
Well, then, paint me red and call me Susie. That's going to be cool.
Yes, the DC Collectibles Joker is very impressive. And it's the amount of detail. You could see part of the skin that he didn't cover up with his face. It's like... I just have to give a big shout out to, Jim Fletcher once again, just giving me the hookup and showing me everything. It was a great time from Jim over at DC Collectibles. Those guys got some amazing stuff coming out. They really do. A lot of high-end stuff. Their biggest thing, and no pun intended, is they're coming out with the Solomon Grundy from the Arkham Asylum game. And, Jim, it comes, you can pull out I am not familiar with the game. I don't know if any of you guys are. But,
I am.
Yeah, you can pull it there. You can pull out the top of his chest and rip out his heart if you really wanted to.
Yeah, in the game, Batman had to basically, every time he electrocuted him, his chest would open up more, and you basically had to go for the heart.
But this is their biggest action figure they've ever made, and it's got to be about at least...
Is it 3 Aquaman tall?
It's about 5 pounds. It's probably 2.5 Aquaman tall. It is huge, man, and it is heavy. That is some solid plastic on this sucker.
It's Mike ready.
I saw it was posed next to Croc.
Yeah,
and I got mad. I remember a lot of the Crocs got pulled because of quality control. I'm waiting to see if they're going to re-release Croc, because they are re-releasing the Arkham Asylum Wave 1 again. So I'm hoping they'll re-release Croc at some point that people didn't get them.
And they are planning on re-releasing all the Arkham stuff.
Well, the big thing too, with it, to add to what Brian's saying, is I got to see the Arkham City next series, which featured it was Batman, Nightwing, and
Talia.
Talia, and Deadshot. Both Batman and Nightwing are fully posable. Yay, hooray, they listened to DC listened to us. So we're actually getting a fully posable Batman and a fully posable Nightwing. Now the rest of the figures are still the same, but there's nothing like being able to throw a Batman kick into one of the bad guys' face.
My favorite coming out of the DC collectibles had to be the bombshell statuettes that they have coming out. I saw those. It's Wonder Woman and Supergirl, the first two in the series. They really haven't gone forward with it yet. But it's based on the old pinup art from the B-52 bomber artwork, if you're familiar. Dave Stevens of The Rocketeer really made it famous in the modern culture with Betty Page. So it's kind of cheesecake-ish. It's, not as like in your face like the Adam Hughes statues were, but it's a cute, pinup girl type of art, and it's really cool. The way they got, both Supergirl and Wonder Woman. It really looks nice. They're also doing another large pack like they did for the We Can Be Heroes. It's heroes and villains, and a lot of people are already having an issue with this because it comes with 3 heroes, 3 villains, and Catwoman. And the only way you can get Catwoman is to get this pack. So they currently have no plans of releasing her as a solo figure.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not the best.
I mean, at least you had the choice with Superman to get him single pack and not get the 7-pack. I mean, that was a choice given. I mean, most people bought the pack anyway, but I mean, still, you had the choice.
They might change, you know how it goes. They might change their mind, hopefully.
I mean, as far as those bombshell statues go, when I saw pictures of those, they look kind of cool. I remember when we had Jim on, he actually dropped that little hint on us that they were going to attempt that. I remember he couldn't tell us the specifics, but when I saw the pictures, it kind of was like how he described Supergirl.
Yeah, those were really nice up close. They really got some nice, of course they're doing also Superman, Man of Steel statues, and they're using a new process. In the way they do most of their statues, it's all like, sculpted from one material, and then it's painted over. These Man of Steel figures, the flesh is a different resin than the rest of the body. And it's colored resin, so it really looks... I swear to God, it looked like it was following me. The eyes was just really creepy. But yet, like, very cool. That just the way it kind of stood out.
Well, with that said, why don't we jump into the next thing with walk? There's just so much great coverage we got, guys, that it's going to be hard for us to touch on everything. But Dave, you want to talk about the Walking Dead stuff?
Yes, Walking Dead. They announced there what the next wave of figures are going to be for Wave 4 down the line. We've got Carl, Andrea, the Governor, Riot Gear Zombie, and a Riot Gear Gas Mask Zombie. This is, of course, the movie figures. They actually showed us what's called a 2-up mock-up of Carl. We got a couple pictures of that, and the detail looks great. I was watching the Walking Dead Sunday, and you could see the same shirt that Carl's wearing then is a shirt that's on this figure, and it's spot on. You can't beat it. Along with that, we also found out recently that the newest 2-pack, they released a black and white bloody version with every wave. Wave 4's black and white bloody version is going to be a Daryl and Merle 2-pack, and as everybody knows, Daryl's been the popular character. With that, we know we've got recently coming out with Walking Dead. You've got the cartoon, or not cartoon, but comic book line that's coming out. Wave 2 is just actually hitting stores probably in the next couple weeks. They let slip. They can't tell us exactly what it is, but Walking Dead will have an exclusive for San Diego Comic-Con. They gave us a heads up on what it is. We really can't get into it. But keep your eyes on Skybound, skybound.com, when they start their new website up, apparently related to The Walking Dead specifically for that. We're going to get a preview then of what this exclusive is going to be. While we were at McFarlane and we were visiting and taking the Walking Dead figures, Mike, if you want to jump in, got a quick look at some of the new sports stuff coming out from the McFarlane line.
McFarlane decided to jump in I call them the big head minifigures, which are set up in certain poses. They decided to jump in it with football now, and what they're doing is they're going to be blind packs, but also in these blind packs are going to be like your 1 in 25 figures and stuff like that, so you still have a good chance of getting, a specialty figure. But unfortunately, once you open it, then it isn't worth as much. So now you're kind of at a point where it's like, okay, so do I really want to get involved with that and try to get a specialty figure and then open it up and come to find out, this, that, and the other. The other major thing is they didn't announce it, but we kind of found out by accident because one of their reps decided to show us a picture of it. They did a huge statue of Derek Jeter on top of Yankee Stadium for baseball. Well, now they're going to do one for football, and the only thing I can tell you guys is that he was in the playoffs. They're going to announce this in about 2 weeks, and it's going to be released sometime within the next few months, and I was impressed by it. It was definitely a nice little statue. So, and now for you indie fans, while we traveled and walked around and everything, we came across a guy that was a first-timer there at the Toy Fair, and nice guy. We met with him. We will have him on a future show. I can't tell you when. And he showed us some of his products and stuff. Dave, you want to explain it a little bit?
Sure. The gentleman we spoke with is Luke Van Horn. He has a company he made himself, and he actually sculpted these figures himself called Romper Zombie. Basically, he explains it as a class of third graders that got turned into zombies. It's a very small company, very independent. It's him and a few other people. He actually just recently hired one extra sculptor to help him further his what he's got going on. These sculpts are great.
Yeah, if I could just jump, you could just say, I remember walking by, and personally, it looked like The Walking Dead met the Cabbage Patch.
Mike said the same thing. Mike said the same thing to me about that, true. It is, but they're adorable. I have to say that. Coming from a guy, it's kind of weird, but they're adorable. But they also have that zombie quality to them. They're kind of neat, and the sculpts are just phenomenal. Especially, we got to see a prototype of his first hunter. You have these third grader kids that are also hunters of zombies, and the hunter, the buttons, the shoelaces it's just phenomenal work. And for coming from independent persons with a startup business, I got to give the guy credit. Hopefully we'll have him on soon. I'm going to do a review of a couple figures we'll have up later on the site. And but that's somebody we're going to get on here and definitely review his figures. It's something I hope catches on because he's got 30 figures planned now. He's actually got 3 out released now that are available for sale, and the 1 prototype that's going to be done soon.
And I think, didn't he say they were going to be available at Hot Topic?
What he said is that Hot Topic is one of the companies that approached him there at Toy Fair. He was looking at Hot Topic, and Spencer's was another place we actually had mentioned to him. We said we could see his figures being sold there because it kind of fits in kind of the styles of stuff that they carry. We joke back and forth, like, you say, can't you see these things in Walmart? Probably
yeah,
not,
I made the mistake of saying that I couldn't see these being sold at Walmart, and he kind of like looked at me with the cross-eyed. And to meet the guy is like I'll say it, he's a muscle head. I mean, he's built like a brick house, and he just kind of gave me the stink eye when I said I couldn't see these things in Walmart. But yeah, he was definitely. He's definitely somebody to keep an eye on because I can see this doing really, really well.
Did you guys see the presidential monsters there?
I think
we walked by the booth. I remember, Mike, because I've seen the presidential monsters before. I've actually seen them out in packaging, out in the stores and stuff. It wasn't something that I liked. As much as a horror fan as I am, I never cared for them. But I did see the booth, although we kept going back and forth past them. And it seems like they were busy kind of putting their booth together almost for 2 days straight.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. But there's a lot of cool small companies over there. One of the ones that are really getting some really big licenses. It's not even funny. It's, I stopped by a company called Factory Entertainment, and they started off doing like high-end reproductions. They got a lot of James Bond stuff. Like they made a reproduction of the actual Golden Gun. You got $500 to burn. Go ahead. Not one of those people. From the old. Since we were talking about Batman 66, they had the Stinger device from the Green Hornet TV show with Bruce Lee and Van Williams, and it's battery operated, and it actually works and makes sound like the old TV show. So that was kind of cool. They also just recently got the license for Archer, and they had a couple stuffed Archer characters. A lot of stuff with the Yellow Submarine. What they're doing, which is kind of interesting, is way before all our times, there was a British Hot Wheels type company called Corgi. I'm not too sure if any of you guys ever heard of them.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, okay. Years ago, they made a Yellow Submarine, Matchbox type car, and it was missing a lot of key details just due to the production back then. So they took one of those original and improved upon it, so it is now like pretty much movie accurate, which is pretty cool. They're having a bobblehead type thing called Shake'ems, I think is what they're calling them, and where the bobblehead part is kind of an action feature. So it's kind of a statue with like say the figure's supposed to wave, so you got an arm that waves or something. And they had 2 that just really stuck out my head. One of the licenses they got was Back to the Future. So they got, they made a little statuette of the scene where Biff and his friends get covered in manure. And it's just his car covered in manure. And you can see a little hand popping out of it that shakes, and it's just like Sorry.
That's
I'm a little
awesome.
punch drunk too, and the other thing is they got they have the master license for Monty Python, and they're making the lumberjack from the old TV show, and it will have voice in it. So we'll play the lumberjack song for all you Monty Python fans, and they're doing the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and that will also have sound on it. But the arms are magnetically attached, so you can take off the arms. I'm sorry.
Nice.
It's twisted stuff like that that just make it's just as much as it is to see all the Mattels and Hasbro and stuff. It's just that what these small companies can get away with sometimes. It's just so damn entertaining. It's great stuff. Some of this stuff.
Well, speaking of which, let's move into NECA, because NECA was another big one that had some reveals for their Alien line. They're also doing and I know Brian is going to be fuming here in a minute, the Lone Ranger line.
No, yeah, whoa. Okay, all right. Hey, I saw the sculpts. They're very impressive sculpts. I have nothing against the sculpts. NECA, Randy over at NECA is a buddy of mine. They do a phenomenal job. What I have is just Hollywood taking a big dump on the second generation of the Reed family. Right. So I'm not happy with the way the movie looks so far. So that's just, they weren't the only ones with the Lone Ranger license. I also saw the Lone Ranger license over at the Lego booth. So it's good stuff if you like it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, when it comes to the Lone Ranger, it's just, give me Clayton Moore, give me nobody else. It's just, just do it right, please.
Well, I like the fact that they introduced 3 3/4-inch figures for this line, and it includes the horses. The horses were fully posable, that you can make them to where they look like they were galloping, because they came with a stand, or you can make them do the high silver pose. And I just thought they were phenomenal looking. And for you customizers out there, it definitely fits in with your 3 3/4-inch lines. The other big thing with them was the Pacific Rim figures. Those were amazingly sculpted and just well detailed. I was really impressed with NECA for what they did. And also for you Nightmare Before Christmas fans, and this came directly from Randy, there's a possibility that for their anniversary, which I think the movie came out in '93, so the 20th anniversary, they're talking about re-releasing Nightmare Before Christmas toys again. So for my son, who loves that movie, he's all stoked and ready to go for them. He says, I've been waiting for them to re-release them. So, and Dave's going to talk about the Alien line and the Predator line.
In the Aliens line, we've seen the first release coming out of the Colonial Marines. We get the 2 figures now currently with the brown alien. We saw a diorama they had set up where you had one alien specifically, his head was like blown half apart. And I thought this was just a wild idea. The scene they had put up was just great. And our first question was, wow, is that something you made specific for this diorama? The answer was no. We're going to see this figure. You're going to see an alien's head half blown apart from fire from a Marine as a figure. They're planning on 2-packs coming out that are going to have this like a Marine and an alien together in different poses, initially being shot or different things. And it's just a wild-looking figure. Moving on from that, you have Predators. One of the first things we saw is they had a Predator trophy wall. Originally, we saw this trophy wall on Predator 2 on the ship where they opened up the wall, and you see all the alien skull heads, different type of aliens sitting up there, up their skulls on the wall. And it was an awesome-looking diorama. And our first question was, does this trophy wall come with the skulls that were all on it? Randy told us no, it comes with the one big skull that they couldn't pre-package with any other figure. The other one, it has the pegs and hookups for skulls that they've been releasing with figures over the last several years, almost as a reward to those who have been loyal to the line One in particular is the actual Aliens skull that came in a Toys R Us 2-pack of Predator vs. Aliens years ago. I mean, honestly, we'll have pictures of this up, and you can take a look at this trophy wall. It is a collector's dream to have this thing.
And to touch on what Dave said, we also asked him about if they were going to do more Marines, and their answer was they're going to try to, but the problem is getting the licensing to do it is going to be between whether the movie has the license or whether whether the movie has the license or the actor has the license is dependent on whether we're going to see more Marines or not. But yeah, NECA was phenomenal. I want to thank Randy for giving us the time, because I was sick that day, and he actually took us in early and showed us around and talked about different stuff with us. And again, he's probably going to be a guest on our show eventually at some point. But we also got to go to Diamond Select as well, and we had a nice time with Zach, I think it is, Zach Oates.
Yep.
We had a nice time with him, and he showed us all kinds of stuff. Again, Dave, you want to talk about the Walking Dead stuff?
With Diamond Select, they had some great stuff as far as the minifigures. They showed us that a couple new minifigures are coming out for the next couple waves, and they looked pretty awesome. I'm not a big minifigure guy. I know, Brian, you're the minifigure guru with us, but
Yeah.
I do collect the minifigures for Walking Dead. So these guys looked awesome. They have a new bank coming out. It's one of the vinyl bank they had put out earlier this year in the black and white version from Comic-Con and the colorized version. They have a new one. It's one of Michonne's pets as the vinyl bank. That looked good. They also had, they were showing mini-mates of, it was, we weren't allowed to take pictures of it, of the Aliens mini-mates. And the alien figure itself was huge, at least 3 times the size of any other mini-mate I've ever seen. And I thought that was pretty awesome stuff.
It had big head and big feet, so it was pretty. They were pretty. It was pretty funny looking, but for a mini-mate, it definitely fit. And then, not to mention, Dave was touching on the Walking Dead. They also had some Marvel stuff there with the new Iron Man movie figures. They are going to release an Iron Patriot. We didn't see any pictures of it, but it's in the works. They said they're waiting on licensing pending. Same thing with Thor in the Dark World. That's license pending, but we did get to see the Wolverine figure, and I'm telling you, phenomenal looking. The detail they put into it is just phenomenal. Great looking figure. But they were also, again, bringing back the Star Trek line for Diamond Select again.
That's a big license for them.
Yeah, and he was really excited because they're redoing some of the ships, and even one of the ships that he showed us actually has layers into it, so you can actually see into the ship because it's clear. Some of them light up. Of course, some of the new weapons were light-up weapons and stuff like that, and new figures for the line, as including, I think, the Ferengi. Is the Ferengi the one that serves the drinks in
Yes.
Yeah, okay. He was in there, and a couple other figures as well. Oh, and they were doing some Borg figures.
It was the mini-mates. They had a bunch of new mini-mates for Star Trek, and it went from Locutus of Borg all the way back to, they have a Khan and Classic Kirk in, like, the Winter Gear 2-pack to the new figures as well. I meing, they have a huge amount of mini-mates that are coming out, a lot of them that are regular and Toys R Us editions. Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, that's kind of interesting that they're doing that because, with Creo, Hasbro, Creo is, pretty much almost a mini-made within itself. So it's just like you're going to have, they got the movie license, while looks like Diamond has the master license, which is always interesting to see.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, for you Munster fans, they're releasing the Hot Rod car, as well. But these aren't mini-mates. These are actually the 6-inch figures, and they're going to release Racing Grandpa. I'm not familiar with Monsters, so forgive me for not remembering the names. But the father is going to be in his racing outfit, and
Dragula.
yeah. So, and then go ahead.
It was cousin Morticia and Hot Rod Grandpa and Hot Rod, whoever the dad was, said.
It's Herman and Lily Munster.
Hey,
Thank you, Stacy.
Morticia is the Adams family.
what? I'm sorry, you're correct. Wrong person, Jay. But with these figures, they're building a build-a-staircase set. The old staircase where the middle of it flipped open. You get a piece with each one of those figures to build that staircase. And it's a pretty big piece.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, so and then they showed us the kit car, the 1/18th scale. This was not the one with. There's two different versions of releasing. One was the kind of stealth mode, I think he said it was, and the other one was just the regular one, but it didn't come with Michael. So that's going to be released later this year. But the actual dash lights up, and everything was just really neat and just well detailed. You got to give Diamond Select credit. They do very well with detail in all their products. So, I'm excited right now because I want to hear about Lego.
I mean, yeah, I got this dude Lego tour. Personally, I find it interesting with the licensing they get, but at the same time, I find it very disheartening. It's Lego's got they have the Star Wars property, they have DC and Marvel. They showed, which we couldn't take pictures of, some play sets for both Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel. The Iron Man 3 one of the sets was, you've seen in the first trailer where his house is attacked and kind of gets blown up. The Lego set's going to do that. It will have that action feature. They also have they got the Lone Ranger license, Hobbit license, plus with their Ninjago still going strong, and now their Chima series. But I'm an old school Lego person, and it's just I look at these and I feel the creativity is gone. That you're just kind of stuck building what they're telling you to build instead of just doing something freeform. And I don't know if it's just me, if I'm just an old guy, but it's just, I don't know.
An old guy.
Yeah, I know I'm an old guy. It's just, I kind of like the freeform.
See, Brian, and I'm going to show my age here. I was getting Legos before Legos were even here because I have family in Germany that used to send them to me every Christmas. And, I agree with you. Half the fun in Legos was building what you wanted to build with it. Because in their old saying used to be, use your imagination.
Yeah.
And now it's just, use your imagination as long as you're building what we tell you to build.
I mean, the only thing that did have still the imagination was what they call the Mindstorm, but that's for advanced builders. And now they've added iPhone apps to it. It's it's a device that kind of looks like an iPod. And you plug it into Legos, and it'll move the Legos, remotely. And, I mean, that's cool and all, but it's just like, I don't know.
There seemed to, what Dave was saying. We went to Think Geek as well, and they had a mug there that was. They didn't call it Lego because they weren't allowed to call it Lego, but you could add Legos to the mug itself. Now, he said the mug was not microwavable, but you could put hot drinks in it.
Yeah, I just don't get the entire point of that, but Think Geek is one of these places that has all this weird stuff that I just don't get the point of either.
Well, the fun one was the thing that would make like different ringtones of cell phones, and he said what you could do is like if you're pissed off at an office mate, you hide it somewhere in the office wherever they sit and just put it in there and just let it go, and like it'll ring like every 10 seconds, so it'll drive people crazy is what he said. Yeah, the Neuer too, that's what it was.
And Toy Fair as a whole, I'm not too sure if you guys got to walk around the entire thing. It's just, there's a lot of interesting stuff, and I use the term loosely, interesting. All the way at one of the back corners, there was this, and this is not, a thing, but it's just, I just had to mention it because it's just a sign of the times. They have something called the iPoo, where it's a potty for, training your kid with an iPad stand attached to it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm looking at this like, wow, whatever happened to bringing a book in, but I'm like, I guess this is the time.
Well, have you guys noticed too, just from Toy Fair alone, they were pushing a lot of iPod, iPad apps. Power Rangers was one of them. Now with these figures, you get a card that you can download an app on your iPad and run the card across it or scan the card, and it'll play like some Power Ranger song, or you can do some kind of Power Ranger move or something with it. I mean, you saw this in a lot of different stuff this year. Is everything was very app driven.
There was a bat cave they were showing. It has a little bat plane that you can actually put your iPhone into. And when you look at the screen, look through the screen to look at the bat cave, you'll see the bat cycle and Batman running around the bat cycle through the cave. And the screen will actually be on, showing stuff on the bat cave screen through the iPhone.
Well, real quick before we wrap up, since we need to get the wrap up going, Bridge Direct also sent us an invite to come look at their Hobbit figures, and I can tell you that from experience, they're 3 3/4 inch, and they also have 6-inch figures. They were pretty impressive for my standard. They even had one in there that they had sculpted so detailed that it had bird poop on his hat, his head, his hair, and his shoulder, and you could tell it was bird poop. I was really impressed with their products. We will be doing more with them as well as soon as everything settles down from Toy Fair, but I had to mention them. And again, these Romper zombies, you guys were phenomenal, and you really got to take a look at them.
I mean, we could go on forever about all the stuff we saw at Toy Fair. I mean, there's just so much. It's just such an inundated saturation of stuff. It's not even funny. It's just...
It's what, 4 levels of stuff?
Yeah, it's 4 levels of stuff. It just blows your mind. It's all over the map, and there's always something there for somebody. But I mean, we could go on for another probably couple hours talking about Toy Fair, but you people are probably looking at your watches, wondering when we're going to end it all. But we will be having some pictures up. So, any questions you got on any of the products that you see, shoot us a line on our Facebook page, and we'll get back to you on it. But, we hope you enjoy what you guys saw at Toy Fair. We know we enjoyed it as well. And that's pretty much it for our show. For Stacy, Mike, Dave, and Jay, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week. Night all.